Be good.
Be good.
Let's compare how we like it.
What about owning a house?
So owning a house, I think for other people, it gives them satisfaction. It's self-satisfaction. Like I was saying, and for some people that pride is in their house or it's in their home. And if my pride is in my home, it means the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly want to build a house, quickly make it a home, you know, and make it a place where I actually enjoy being in, you know. And so for that reason, for certain people, it gives them that peace of mind, it gives them that satisfaction, it gives them that sense of accomplishment as well. Because I think Basotho in general are people who are who put wealth or who believe that owning a house is a form of investment. So for them, in that sense, it's a psychological thing. It's a psychological thing, and it's a matter of preference as to what you prefer to rent or to actually build. But having your own home is nice, you know. For some instance, if you are renting, and some people who might be watching this and are renting, they know you can't even put a nail in the wall because the landlord will come tell you, hey, so those type of things. So the stress of knowing that if I want to put a picture up and I can do so at my own will, and no one will be hounding me and saying you put a nail in the wall, now I need you to fix this or else I won't give you back your security, you know, such things. So it's something that gives people comfort to be owning, and owning a house is you can also use that asset. You can also use that asset as collateral from some of the other stuff that you might need in your life. Yeah.
Right, so there's a show I was watching on TV. There was this couple. They had built or bought a house, I'm not sure, but they had this house and they had other goals that they wanted to achieve. But they found that they were paying the mortgage and they were paying other things and they could not reach their goal as quickly as they hoped. So what they did is they moved back home and they rented out the house, which was something I never thought I could do, or I never thought of, that you could have this house but not live in it immediately, but live home and get rented out.
So I think the main thing that you need to do, or the main thing that we need to think of when we are deciding whether to rent or to actually own a house and live in it is because the aspect of investment comes in. If I bought this house, right, and let's assume that I bought this house for some weird reason let's just assume that we bought this house and this house is 1 million, and the rental income on this house, the mortgage is 10,000, sorry, and if I were to rent it out, at 13,000. So that means on a month-to-month basis, I'm basically making 3,000 extra, which is the income. That is money in my pocket, money that I just got from actually going to the bank and seeking finance for this particular house, and then afterwards someone else is actually paying the mortgage. So it's actually, the house is paying for itself, and I did not incur a single a single expense in terms of owning this house.
You're actually making profit.
I'm actually making a profit, so it's actually putting money back. So as much as I'm renting, I have bought this house, but I have bought it with the aspect of saying I am investing, and it has become my income property. So it means the house is paying for itself. I'm making extra money on a monthly basis towards this house. So for me, or for this particular couple, moving back home made sense, because if they moved back home, either their living expenses were reduced, right? So their living expenses got reduced. They made extra income from this particular house that they were now renting out, and it was paying for the mortgage. So by simply, even if the rental amount on the house was exactly the mortgage amount, it still meant that the house was paying for itself, and whatever they used to pay towards the mortgage is money back in their pocket that they can use to achieve other financial goals. Because as a family, like you're saying, or as a couple, they might want to start a family or already have children. They might want to travel, and they might want to do so many other things, and having that extra cash means that they have more money and they're more liquid to do other things and to achieve other financial goals that they might have.
So now I've figured out what kind of house I want.
Okay.
And I'm going to the bank, right, to get a loan. Do I go to the bank and see how much I get approved for, or do I go to a contractor and try to get a quote?
Okay, so I think when it comes to so owning a house, right, can either take, so let's say now you've decided I want to own a house,
Right.
so it's either you're going to buy a house or you're going to build a house. So then you also have to assess at that point, is it cheaper to buy a house, or is it cheaper to build a house, right?
Right.
Then you also need to decide what type of house you want, because when it comes to a type of house that you are probably going to use for income purposes, you need to consider whether it's actually going to, you are actually going to derive the value in this house. Deriving the value meaning you're going to get maximum rental income from this property, being that it is in the right location, meaning the demand for this property would be very, very high, so giving you the liberty to charge a high rental amount. Is it accessible, you know? Is it accessible to schools, to shopping malls? You know, how's the security, you know, to the road? How's the security, you know, in this place? So those things are things that you need to consider, because if the rental income that you have, even if it's the most beautiful house that you've ever seen, but if the location is bad, it means that you cannot derive the value out of that money, because by virtue of just being in a bad location, you can't actually charge the rental income that you deserve to charge, you know. So those are the aspects that you need to look for. So the first thing I think you need to do is you need to decide, why am I building this house, or why am I buying this house? Then you choose the location, and then after you choose the location, then you go to the bank, ask them how much you actually afford in terms of the home loan that you're going to get, or the mortgage loan that you're going to get. Then you go back to the architect who's going to design the house within the costs, or within this pre-approved amount that the bank has given you, and say, hey, you actually qualify for a house that is worth 800,000. So then you go back to the architect, they do the design, then from the design, then you go to the builder or the contractor who would say, okay, now this is what we need, and then they will give you the exact figures. And I think it's very important to make sure that everything fits into that pre-approved amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if it runs out,
there's no way to get the money. And to actually make sure that you don't go into debt in trying to do something as worthwhile as building a house for yourself or for your family, or trying to turn this house that you're buying or building as an income property, is to make sure that you don't go into debt that you can't afford, you know. So the best thing is to make sure that whatever you're being approved for fits in, and the house cost or the building cost or the buying cost fit into that actual amount, and then whatever you're going to get then as the rental income from day one becomes money into your pocket, and it doesn't go towards servicing an extra debt that you incurred because now the loan amount wasn't enough to actually finish building or finish renovating the house that you had just bought. Because I think one thing that we also know is that if you buy a house, a bought house, this normally sometimes doesn't really come with everything in your liking. So you probably have to make a few changes here and there just to make sure that it's the right house for you. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Okay. Are you done? I'm done. Okay, all right. That's nice if you're done. But I think for young people who are starting out in their career, right? I think what needs to change is our mindset. Right? Our parents, their mindset was, I need to have a house and I need to build it. So yes, fine. But now your parents, like my mother, for instance, she has a big house because she had 4 kids. But now, does it still make financial sense for her to own this house? Probably not. So we need to now be making financial decisions today that are actually going to build wealth, and are actually going to make sure that money works for us and we don't work for money all the time, because we want to be individuals, or the generation that gets to make the financial choices and the choices that they actually enjoy. If you want to travel, be able to travel, and be able to travel because not because you're rich or because you're wealthy, but because it is a choice that you made, and you made sure that you work hard towards achieving that goal, you know. And we need to make sure that we are that generation that gets to retire comfortably. We are not relying on the state to get the monthly pension, but we have planned enough, we have invested enough, we have built enough wealth, and we have enough to take care of ourselves. Yeah. So I think that is very important. So I think when it comes to that aspect, we also at every point in your life, because if you're starting out in your career, as you change jobs, as you move on in your career, as the money comes, you need to be very aware of what is happening around you. You need to be very aware of what is happening around you, so that you make the perfect financial choices for yourself. So that if tomorrow you were to get $1 million, you know whether you're going to invest that $1 million, or are you going to buy a house, or are you going to, you know, buy a car, or are you going to, you know, those type of decisions. So we need to make sure that financially we know why we are making those decisions. Yeah. So I hope everyone got a bit of insight in terms of what it means to rent or to own a property, and I hope it gets you thinking. And please remember, we want to get the conversation going online, so please leave your comments down below in the comment section, whether you want to ask more questions or whether you would like to set up an appointment with us so that we can actually assess your situation and get you started on that journey, whether you want to invest in property, or you think now because of this video you actually don't think building is the right choice. So let us see how else we can assist you with your finances in terms of building your portfolio or your other investment portfolio. Yes. So please do contact us, and remember to follow us on our socials so that we can give you more insightful content like this one. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.